All right, JB Crum, welcome to the show.
Cheval, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm going to start off with an icebreaker because I want to know what is your favorite sports team by any chance?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was asked that on a podcast yesterday. Actually, I'm not sports team oriented. My favorite sports team are the Winter Olympics.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Olympics, and I love it because of the athleticism that's displayed in all the different sports. So, even the luge, which is probably my least favorite, I find kind of intriguing. But I love especially the winter sports on the Olympics. I love almost all the Olympic sports, but the winter are my favorite.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, well now that we get that out of the way, let's see, like how does the Winter Olympics transition into what you do, like as a conscious millionaire, like with the training.
There is a connection because people go to the Olympics because they've trained to be an excellent level. They're really all about excellence, and Conscious Millionaire is about training entrepreneurs to reach their 6- and 7-figure levels by becoming excellent at what they do and taking their internal potential and their passions, which is really the same thing that goes on at the Olympics, and giving them the tools to do something with that's going to allow them to not only build a business, but it's going to allow them to reach out and help other people in the way that they want. So both are about excellence and using your potential.
All right. That's all right. So now that we get that out of the way, let's talk about Conscious Millionaire. For anyone that wants to know, what is a Conscious Millionaire?
Well, Conscious Millionaire is really the coming together of two aspirations. One is to make a positive impact in the world, to positively transform your clients. And the other one is to make high profits. So you want to make your profits in a way that's transforming other people, making a positive difference, and really having an impact that makes a difference, not only for them, but then everybody they come into contact with. Because when you help to uplift one human being and that person's in a higher state because you've helped solve the problems that are really pulling them down, and now they're freed from those problems, which is what we as entrepreneurs do, then they are now in a better state to go through their life helping more people, and the way they're going to interact with the people they come in contact with is going to be more positive as well, because they're freed in their energy to go become more of who they are.
That's really cool. I mean, because I guess for many, we would think of millionaires, as being on the yachts, and we see their lifestyle, and that might turn people off. But it's really amazing, like seeing what you've done. And for those that might not know, I found out about JB Crum through Jamie Tardy's Eventual Millionaire podcast, show, which that really brought a refreshing take on millionaires. So for you, JB, can you share with us your journey of how you got to where you're at right now?
Well, yeah, I'll kind of do a short version of it because it starts when I was 5 years old. And I grew up in a little town, about 200 or 300 people. We're on a 4-by-5 mile lake. But what we all had in common was that nobody had any money. My dad was a farmer and my mom was a school teacher. And most people were just kind of struggling to get by. And honestly, if my mom hadn't taken over the budget, we probably wouldn't have had food on Wednesday. So that was the kind of world I was living in. And when we went to the grocery store, there was a very strict budget. And I had already learned at age 5, don't ask for the candy bar. And then you kind of hope and pray, oh God, please have mom put some candy on the list, right? Because you want the candy, right? And so I'm really, as a little boy, I'm sitting there, one day, and I said, well, what's the answer to this? Because I don't want to live like this when I grow up. This is not my idea of fun, and I'm already tired of it. And I go, I know, I'll become a millionaire when I grow up, right? And so I run in the house, I look at my mom and dad, and I go, I'm going to be a millionaire when I come up. And my mom shook her fingers at me. She says, don't tell anybody. And when I went to write my book, Conscious Millionaire, I said, well, I had to tell my story. My editor says, you've got to tell your story. I said, oh my God, that sounds like really the hardest part of the book. And it was. And so I had to figure out, why did my mom say that? Well, we lived across the street from the little country church. And we went to church 3 times a week, and twice we were usually the only family there. And I'm telling this because you may be listening and going, wait, I think I might have that. My parents were very bright, but didn't have any money. And what they had associated was that if you were a good person, you're just supposed to go around helping people, but you weren't really supposed to try to make a lot of money because that was bad stuff. And if you had a lot of money, like $1 million, you must be a bad person. You must have done something illegal. You must have, been unfair to people. And so my mom just wanted me to grow up and be a good person. But of course, the rest of that story is being a little 5-year-old. I went around and I told everybody in town, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be a millionaire. And there were a lot of little ladies, because their husbands had died. And it was a really pretty place and they didn't have any money. And I was good friends with them all. I'd go talk to them. And I'm sure they just kind of like went, oh, they kind of pat you on the back, the head and they go, oh, when he grows up, he's going to be a millionaire, right? But I never let it bother me because I knew from that moment I was going to get there. So kind of fast forwarding to 25, I'd gotten there. We'll just kind of move forward quickly. I was in a 4-story luxury townhouse on the water, had the Mercedes, and about 3 months into that experience, I had another turning point. And I'm looking out at the water, and it's a really beautiful day, and there's sailboats, and it's really nice. But I had this awareness like something's really wrong. And I started to probe that. And I said, well, gosh, I'm not very fulfilled and I'm not particularly happy. And then I said it. I said, wow, I don't really even like myself and I'm horrible at relationships. That was about when I figured out my personal life was a complete wreck. And all I had was some money in the bank, a Mercedes, and a nice house. And I said, something else is supposed to be going on here in this picture that's not here, that I didn't think about when I was 5. And I spent the next 15 years literally going to sweat lodges and spiritual retreats and Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and reading every personal growth book that I could find, looking for that answer. And I finally realized that it had something to do with me living my purpose. And I sure wasn't doing that because I didn't feel very fulfilled. So I sold the companies and I went off on a journey. And I lived at a Buddhist monastery and I lived at Esalen on the Big Sur coast, which is the Human Potential Institute. And then I shaved my head and I moved to Boulder and I hung out with all the Buddhists and I, do the chants and I do the meditation and I go for 2 or 3 weeks in camp. And I was asking the question because I'd already figured out that the purpose part was about being a service. It wasn't about something I got. It was about something I gave. And I said, well, I was kind of asking the universe. That's my, my way of looking at it is, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? I had graduate degrees. I was an attorney, an MBA. I had a clinical psych, I built and sold companies. I had all these skills, but what am I supposed to do with this? How am I going to help the world be better? And I couldn't see it. And then I was over skiing for the winter for 6 months in Lake Tahoe and was staying in a really kind of like a California condo in Reno. They built for all the California people who didn't want to pay taxes in California because Reno is 10 miles over the boundary. California had like 14% income tax and Reno had none. So I didn't want to be in California. So I was going to ski, and I went over to San Francisco. It was about 3.5 hours, and I picked up this brochure called for the Green Festival. And I came back, and I had a fireplace, hot tub, all this. And it was on a Sunday evening. I remember it really well. I got in the hot tub, and I was kind of thumbing through, the Green Festival brochure. And all of a sudden, I saw the word conscious. And right here on my forehead, inside, I saw the phrase conscious millionaire. I got a tingling in my spine and something I can't even explain on a sensory level. I just knew that this was the answer I'd been looking for. That's how conscious millionaire came. And I kind of immediately that day said, oh, this is my assignment I've been looking for. And I said, yes, because even though I didn't know what conscious millionaire was going to become, just the phrase, I could see the potential, and I'm going, wow, this is super cool. This is what I'm going to get to do with my life. And that's how this all happened. It was really my journey to find meaning. And now what's Conscious Millionaire is helps entrepreneurs find how to build 6- and 7-figure businesses in a way that's meaningful to them and allows them to give their gifts to the world.
That's really awesome. And of course, for everyone that's watching, you could hit the tell little bird sign to let people know about this awesome conversation with JB Crum, who is the author of The Conscious Millionaire. Now, of course, I got to ask this question because your book, The Conscious Millionaire, is really awesome there. Because basically your story, you shared about how you helped the family business to profit from that. And at that moment, while you turn it around, you you actually realize at the moment that this was not what you're supposed to
Right.
do.
Yeah. That was
So,
really what I was
so
realizing, but I was realizing some deeper pieces also, like something was missing inside me. I wasn't connected and in a way that was really fulfilling. And I now look back and I go, well, I had the good fortune of having just enough money early enough to realize that this whole American dream, that if you get the money itself, that all of a sudden all your problems are going away and you're going to be super happy and it's going to be the most exhilarating moment of your life. And the truth is, you still have you, and you still have your problems, and you still have the stuff you haven't worked out. And I realized that this was a personal journey and that I had left out the personal part, that I thought the money was going to answer everything. But isn't that what we're told? We're told that over and over and over again. I mean, you look at the advertisements, what they're about. They're about money and sex. That if you get sex that's meaningless, somehow you'll be fulfilled. You're not. And if you get money, somehow that takes care of all the problems, and it doesn't. It just means you're living in a nicer house and driving a more expensive car. But you've still got to deal with who are you and why are you on this planet? And what are you here to do? Because what I've discovered is real fulfillment comes from helping other people. And that's the deepest fulfillment and joy that you can possibly have, is being of service and really caring about other people on the planet and finding a vocation, a way of building a business, making your living so that you feel like every day you're doing something that matters.
all right. Well, now I gotta transition a bit because for most of us, we might, we might like want to, we might not know our life's purpose. Basically, like of course, the statistics of many people changing careers in 5 years. Like how?
Yeah, absolutely.
What
I'd love
advice
to
would you
do
share
that. I call it
with
your
us to
your
discover
true
our
north. It
purpose?
involves more than your purpose. It involves three pieces. And what I'd like to do is just give you, it's directly from my book. I want to give you three exercises that you can do. I'm huge at journal. I should do advertisements for Moleskin, because I'm going to say I use Moleskin books. I've got them in different colors for different kinds of things. Like I have a yellow one that I use just for all my conversations on the phone with somebody to take down all these notes. I have purple ones that when I'm doing my podcast, I take notes to get ideas and I apply them to my own business because I get so many great guests. And you've been on my podcast, and I really have to thank you for being there and talking about, social media, because you're really good at that. And then I keep a black one, it's a money one, and I write down all these ideas about business and everything. So whether you have a written journal, you're going to do it on, your computer, whatever is right for you. Here's the things I want you to journal about. First, your passion. It's not just any kind of passion. Here's the clues that I found really show up over and over and over in clients. One is it's something that the activities that you do, and you do them for hours and it feels like just a few minutes went on. The second part of it is not only did you lose all track of time, but inside you feel this immense joy, it's kind of almost exploding from your whole being. You're just so connected to joy. And there's a third part that'll help you figure out what are those really deepest passions. Is I bet you've done things using those passions, those activities to help other people, and you didn't charge them a penny because you just kind of go through your life doing that. So the clues about the deepest passions are you'll lose all track of time, you're going to feel joy, and you've probably done them for free to help other people. Then the second part is purpose. Now, when I was looking for my purpose, because I realized that was what was missing, I read a lot of books on purpose, and I got to say, none of them were particularly helpful. They made me feel good, but they would have these kind of sentences like, when you find your purpose, you'll know it. And I would go, well, that's extremely helpful in helping me know how to find it, right? Now, when I found my purpose and I worked with a lot of clients, I realized, oh, this is actually a lot easier than the path that I took because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of wandering around. So think of purpose, it's like it's this coin. And on one side it says purpose, but on the back it has the secret of how to discover it. And I want to give you that secret. Your purpose is always directed towards helping someone or something else. Might be animals, might be the planet. And the clue is it's a difference that you want to make. So I want you to journal about if you could wake up in the morning and all day long you made this difference for other people or for the planet or for animals or for groups of people. and you got to do that all day long, day after day after day, that you would be the happiest person on the face of the earth. Okay, so that's the second piece. It's the passionate difference you want to make. But if you want to build a business, you've got to have some skills, because you can't just have your passionate difference. You've got to be able to do something that's going to really impact people's lives. So you've got to look at what your natural strengths are, and they're going to be different. Cheval, yours are going to be mine, you're going to be different than mine. And here's how you discover it. There are probably 2 or 3 things. Now, there's someone listening who might be the genius among us, and maybe they've got 10, but most of us normal people have 2 or 3. And the clue is that you can do them so easily that almost every time you do them perfectly. And the big joke is that this is probably the stuff you went and got training in. Like, you could already do computer programming. You probably knew how to do it at 6, but then you go and get a degree in computer programming, but you could probably teach the course anyway. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So then you take and you put those 3 together, the passionate difference that really you're going to be super excited about. And you've got some skills that you're going to be able to use in a unique way to bring that out to the world. And once you know that, now you've got a real direction. You've got a direction for your life. You've got a direction for your business. But now you can't build a business just with that, because you've got to build a business in a way that's going to relate to a particular market and the problems they have. But what you now have, you've got the big umbrella to go out and start looking at, this niche market, but you're only going to want to choose one of these. But what you want to ask are a couple of questions. What kind of problems do they have? And can I solve those problems? And am I going to be excited all day long solving those problems? Like, there's a lot of things about business I really enjoy. There are things about business I don't enjoy. I don't coach people about the things I don't enjoy because I didn't enjoy them to begin with. I sure don't want to spend my day talking about those kinds of things, right? And that's going to be true for all of us. And then the other thing you have to ask about this one niche, and I want you to just focus on one niche initially, is the niche big enough, and do they have enough money, or are there enough of them that you can sell a lower price product or service to, that whatever your financial goal for your business is 3 years from now, can you reach that goal never having changed niches? And the reason this is important is you are going to invest so much time and energy. You're going to be passionately obsessive about learning everything you can about the problems of this group of people, because no one will pay you a penny for anything but solving problems. So you've got to understand this group inside and out better than they understand themselves. And it needs to be a group you're totally excited about. You're like going, oh, wow, I get to work with these kind of people again. I love working with entrepreneurs who want to make a positive difference in the world. And I have different programs for different levels. If I'm going to work one-on-one, what I've discovered is you need to have significant 6 or 7 figure worth of income, because those are the people I, on a one-on-one level, want to work with, and I'll have the best impact. If you're in a group, that can be a different income. But if you're not oriented towards making a positive difference, you're not doing marketing on the internet, and you don't want to make high profits, and you're very committed to that, I don't want to work with you. I don't have any interest. I don't know how to build restaurants. I don't know how to build retail establishments. And worse, I don't even care. They don't even interest me. I only want to work with a select group of people. And because of that, and I know that that's large enough because as a tax attorney, I went and looked at all the tax records. And I researched them, and I found how large different groups were. And I said, oh, well, I want to have a $10 million business. And I know that working with this particular group and this range of income, there are plenty of them, and therefore I can build what I want to build. You've got to know that kind of information at the first part. And I want to talk about conscious formula for creating wealth, because this is the conscious stage. There's conscious focused action, the 3 steps. It's how I've built everything. And most entrepreneurs want to jump right into the action step, and they want to take a bunch of tactics. And that's a recipe for disaster. Or they want multiple streams of income. That's a recipe for disaster. Or they want to work with multiple niches, and that's a recipe for disaster. You've got to be laser focused. And the conscious part is doing this kind of research up front to be really clear that you're going to be working with the right group, with the right outcomes, with the kind of problems that you want to be solving. Because you are, let's be serious, you're going to be spending not just 30, 40 hours. You're going to be spending 50, 60, 70, 80 hours doing this. You better love those kind of problems. And you better be really excited about being creative about how you create solutions. We've lost our audio. I'm not hearing you, just so you know.
I muted myself. So basically, actually, I got asked this question because you said about multiple streams of income, which you said that that's a recipe for disaster. But yet, that's what
Yeah,
we've been seeing. You know, it's been
yeah,
seen on blog posts. Can you elaborate more
yeah.
about that?
I completely disagree with that approach. I think that you need to be laser focused, and that if you're not at 100,000 in revenue, because that's where the majority of entrepreneurs are not yet at 100,000, and I went and did the research. That's about 30 million, by the way. And so if you haven't reached 100,000, your most passionate question must be, how am I going to get to 100,000? And the fastest way to get there is to have one group of people you're working with and find one real product that you can sell them multiple times and get them into your stream. And then you can start building something more. But if you're not at seven figures, I don't know why you're looking at building multiple companies. I had somebody a couple of years ago come, and it was in his 20s. We didn't end up working together because I wasn't interested, because I told him what he was doing was not going to work and I wasn't going to be a part of it because it was just not going to work. And he had, quote, 6, because he was so proud of himself. I have 6 companies I've started. I said, why don't you take one of them and make it work? Because none of them were working yet. I said, this is totally ridiculous. You cannot channel your time and energy into 6 different companies. It won't work. And so people are told to channel their energies in so many different directions. How can you possibly be effective? But if you channel your energy in one direction every day, 5 days a week, over the course of a year, the likelihood that you're going to get there is almost 100%, because that's all you're thinking about.
That makes a lot of sense there. I mean, so, but I got to ask this question here, you know, to change it a little bit. Sure. What are the challenges then of running a business?
I think the biggest challenge is ourselves, to be honest with you. That first of all, we distract ourselves. And that's why you've got to be laser focused on one particular result that you want. And that every day when you get up, you've got to have 1, 2, or 3 priorities for your day. And for each priority, you've got to have a measurable outcome. And oftentimes it may only be one priority. Like today, I'm on 8 different shows. I don't have any other priorities for my day. This is my priority. I want to show up. I want to be the best guest. I want to give the best information that I can. I don't want to be distracted by 1,000 different emails. The emails, you know what? The people will not die if they don't hear from me in 6 hours. I am not that important, and neither are you or anybody who's listening to this. And we delude ourselves and think we have to go distract ourselves all the time with all the social media. We don't. We need to be focused on what it is we want to accomplish for that day. And what we're accomplishing needs to be tied to that one major goal. So if every day, and you're not yet at 100,000, let's stay on that. If every day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, however many long you're really working, let's be honest, you get up and the burning priority is related to putting $100,000 in your bank account, how likely are you to get there? Because what you're going to find is about 80% of what you were doing was a complete waste of time. It was just distracting you. And here's what I've learned. If you take things and you put them to the side that don't seem very important, and you put them to the side long enough, you never have to do them. Because then enough time has passed and you don't even have to deal with it. But if you take the 20% that really mattered and you focus on that, because that's going to get you to the 100,000, you will get to the 100,000. You know, if you're preparing for a race, let's go back to the Olympics, right? If you're preparing for a race and every day you get up and you work your mind, you set yourself up, your nutrition is exactly what it needs to be. Your workouts are exactly what they need to be. And you're going to go practice your runs exactly the way you need to do it. The chances that you're going to be successful are a whole lot better than if you get up and you're doing 12 things unrelated to being an Olympic athlete.
All right. Now that is really great answer there. So I'm going to now the flip side of that question is, what are the rewards of running a business?
Oh, I think the rewards are fabulous. I think, first of all, we're given the gift of being able to choose what we do with our life, of being able to take what I was talking about, that passionate difference, that we actually have some skills that we can bring out in the world. And we get to choose how we build our business. So if you don't choose something that you truly love and you aren't solving problems that you really enjoy, then you have made a major mistake, because you've just been handed as an entrepreneur the opportunity to do something that really matters with your life, for you, for your family, for your bank account. and for other people in society. See, everybody gets to win in this. And you get to choose what you do. You get to choose the kind of services you provide. You get to choose the kind of products. What you've got to do is that if you want to work with a group of people, you must solve their top 2 or 3 problems. You don't have a choice about that. But you do actually have a choice of how you do it. You've got to go find out how they want it. But if you want to coach, you get to do coaching. And then you're going to work with the people who want a coaching solution. And if you want to create digital products, and you get to work with the people who just want that digital product, you might end up creating both of those and work with people who want one or both of those. But we get that great choice. We have complete and absolute freedom. And I think other than sales professionals, I think entrepreneurs and sales professionals, and by the way, if you're an entrepreneur, you better get clear that you're a sales professional. We're the only people in this country who have absolute freedom. We're the only ones. Everybody else is totally shackled to something. It may be a job, it may be they're working in the government, you know, but they're shackled to something that they don't have the final control over. And while we're going to have a lot of things happen that may be unexpected, and we have to deal with problems of our own that we didn't plan to deal with, we also get to choose how we deal with those problems. We get to create our destiny. We get to decide our 3-year goal. We get to decide our actions every day, not anybody else, us. We get to create our own schedule. It's the ultimate life to me. But the downside is we're on a roller coaster. And the truth is, you and I can wake up tomorrow morning and we've got a great priority and a result and a set of actions, and none of that may happen tomorrow because something else might totally sidetrack it, and we've absolutely got to take care of it. Or something may happen in our environment that we had no control over, and now we've got to respond to that. Or our mother got sick, and now we really have to go deal with that, right? So there are things that will happen, but we still, in the end, we get to choose our destiny. And most people don't have that much control over their future because there are too many other people that have layers in front of them. We don't. We get to choose.
Yeah, definitely agree. Now, for those that are watching this live, I normally would. This is a recording of my podcast. What's the word? And you know, Mr. JB Crum is the special guest for this show, and he's really providing great content here. Now, JB, I give podcasters, broadcasters, or the former to ask me a question on the show. So, you have a question for me? You can share. You can ask me anything that you want. Do we hear you?
But while you're waiting for the question, you know what I'd like to do? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to allow you to ask me a question.
I don't have a question. No. But what I would, we were talking about the formula for creating wealth, conscious focused action. And this really is the difference. I've used it to make millions of dollars. I use it to coach my clients. What I'd like to do is give to everybody a special ebook that's based on this and has the model in it so you can use it. And that's at consciousmillionaire.com/wealth formula. It's consciousmillionaire.com/wealth formula. You can get it absolutely free and use all that material because this will help you get laser focused. And there are 2 more steps we didn't even have time to talk about, which is getting to that result and getting the learning part, which is the very tip of the pyramid. And it also has coaching involved in it, in what I'm going to give you, the ebook, so that you can take and apply this directly to your business.
Okay. All right. JB, let me, 3 more questions before if you have time, you want to answer some of the questions from the audience, because I know they might have some questions for you afterwards, but if not, that's all right. If you had the opportunity to interview one person that you admired, past or present, outside of your family members, to learn from, who would that person be?
And she and I are going to do something together because for 14 years, I'm going to tell you who it is in a moment. But for 14 years, because I want to tell you a way to really get yourself inspired. Because if you want to do something with somebody else, a project with them, you want to interview them, whatever it is, if you're already clear about it, that's 1 out of 2. So you're already 50% there. That's what I want you to set as a positive phrase. So for 14 years, I've been 50% there. And I'm glad you asked, because I actually put this out to people. I actually plant seeds. You know, I was on an interview a couple of days ago with somebody from LA. So I'm going, you may end up at a party. I want to tell you who I'd like to meet. So the person that I really most admire is Oprah Winfrey. I love Oprah Winfrey. Oh my God, I'm a huge Oprah Winfrey fan, because she took herself from nothing and she created so much, and she created so much by doing so much good in the world. So who's the person that I would most like to interview? Oprah Winfrey. Absolutely.
Wait a minute. So you're going to have her on your podcast
Well,
soon?
we're going to do something together, because I'm already 50% there. And the only person who doesn't know we're going to do something together is Oprah. And the moment Oprah learns that we're going to do something together, and then 100% of us will know. And then Oprah and I, you know, we'll have a little conversation. We'll go, Oprah, hey, you know, what do you think would be the best thing? Well, sure, I'm pretty open-minded about what we do. Yeah, Oprah, I think that'd be great. And then we're going to do something. I'm not joking you. We are going to do something. Yes, Oprah and I are, because I love Oprah. I love what she's doing.
Awesome. Now, where can people find out more about your work and also your podcast as well?
So we have two podcasts: Conscious Millionaire podcast, which is business coaching for conscious entrepreneurs. That's 5 days a week. And then my new one, which is Conscious Millionaire Health Reality Show, and that's 3 days a week. And I interview experts on health, and it's health and fitness for busy entrepreneurs. Because as entrepreneurs, what's the first thing that goes? Eating the healthy food, getting to the gym, finding work-life balance, living our lives more consciously. So those are the things we discuss on that show. You can learn about both at consciousmillionaire.com. Just click on the podcast tab and it'll open up, and you can click on both shows, subscribe to them, and listen to them, because this is free material. And I got to say, I've got so many great guests that have been on the show. And Shabal, again, I have to thank you for being on the show, because it's incredible people bringing great step-by-step, results-oriented information to you about how you can build your 6 or 7 figure business.
All right. Well, JV, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on this show. I really appreciate it a lot. Do you have any final words for our audience that's watching here on the lab?
I would like to share my personal motto. And I want to tell you what that personal motto means to me. My personal motto is trust perfect timing. Now, you could hear that and you go, well, that sounds pretty fluffy, right? That sounds kind of weird. And I could understand that. So I want to explain what I mean, because it's very concrete. What I've discovered is that when we are present, when we're open to possibilities, and when we're authentic, and I want to give you another way of looking at authentic, because that one's kind of on purpose. When we're taking steps that feel real to us, and we all know when what we're doing really feels real, and when it doesn't feel so real. So when we're present and open and we're real with ourselves, it's like a portal opens up. And all of a sudden we're connected to the world in a different way. And we start to notice that everything really is unfolding in a perfect way. And it's not perfect just outside of us, that we're contributing to that in the state that we're in. And I go to conferences and I'm in that, what I call the zone. I call it the millionaire inner zone. And I'm there the whole time. And people who see me at conferences know what I'm talking about. I have a handful of my books. I'm going to sign them to people. I was at a conference last year, met Arianna Huffington, and I had a book. I signed it to her. I didn't ask for anything. I'd like to think that she had good instincts. That's what I like to think. She looked at my book. She looked at me. And she didn't say anything for like 4 seconds. And she says, would you like to be a writer for the Huffington Post? Now, what I like to think is that I had enough good sense not to jump up and down and scream and yell. So I said, well, yes, I would. Right? I was so pleased with that composure. And she gives me her card, and 2 weeks later, I have my own column in the Huffington Post. Then I ran around the corner and called one of my best friends. Like, oh my God, you know what just happened? I didn't ask for anything. I was just in that zone. And when we're in that zone, life just seems to unfold in a perfect way. And all of a sudden, sees things differently. And I'm going to give you a practical way of looking at this, because every one of us has had a day, maybe today, when something that was really important to us and that we were counting on didn't happen, or it all blew up, or it just got canceled completely. And the first reaction that we tend to have, which is perfectly normal, is disappointment, right? But all of a sudden, when we take a breath, we get present, and we go, okay, maybe there's a bigger plan. And we get open to possibilities. And we go, okay, what does this really mean, since it's not going to happen? And the first thing I realize is, oh yeah, I have to remind myself. I have trust perfect timing on the wall in my office. Because I have to remind myself like everybody else. And I go, oh yeah, maybe something better is coming along. Or maybe this will happen at another time and it will be the right time for it to happen. But there's a bigger mosaic of perfect timing happening all around us. And when we build our businesses by connecting to that perfect timing, it's amazing the business deals that actually do happen that really are right. And everybody wins, and they really work well for everybody. And then when we try to force things together, we all try to do that. Before it kind of put in the square in the round hole. One way or another, it always blows up, and you know what? At some point, it did not feel right to us. So we stay in doing what feels right, what feels real, being open, being present, and then just letting life unfold. It doesn't mean we don't have goals, but we notice where things seem to naturally be going, and who we should naturally be doing business with, and guess what? That's usually the right decision.
Well, David, thanks again for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing with us here on Blab and also here on the What's the Word. Really appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's my honor to be on the show.